Behind the flashing lights of TLC's hit show 90 Day Fiancé, there was a story no one knew. A story that never reached the cameras. A story of secrets, sacrifice, and a love so strong it changed everything. Liz Woods, the woman fans thought they knew, was hiding something extraordinary. For years, while viewers talked about her every move on reality TV, Liz carried a truth so delicate it could never be revealed. She had been in love with a man named Zach, a young Australian who lived far away from the world of TLC. Yes, Liz Woods had secretly been in a long relationship with a man named Zach, keeping it hidden from everyone. The turning point in their secret love came when Liz became trapped in a $250,000 debt. Zach, the young man from Australia, stepped forward and promised to pay it all off. From that moment, their love grew deeper. They spent time together in beautiful five-star hotels, building a bond that grew stronger with each day. Eventually, they decided to marry. Their wedding is planned for December 10th, 2025. After the wedding, Liz will leave the United States for good and move to Australia with Zach. This means she will no longer appear on 90 Day Fiancé. This is not just another celebrity romance. It's the hidden part of Liz's life that shows who she really is when the cameras are off. When fans first met Liz Woods on 90 Day Fiancé, she was a single mom with a soft smile and a kind heart. To viewers, she was the woman who never stopped giving love another chance. But behind the scenes, Liz was living a life no one knew about. On screen, she showed heartbreak and hope. Off screen, she was protecting herself from the chaos of fame. Years of public judgment taught her to guard the most precious parts of her life. She realized that love couldn't survive under the spotlight. It needed to be hidden. Then she met Zach. He wasn't famous or part of the show, and maybe that's why Liz fell for him. With Zach, she found something real and peaceful. But to keep him safe, she built walls of secrecy. She used excuses like long filming hours or work commitments while secretly spending time with him. Living a double life made her feel guilty, but Liz believed Zach was worth every lie. Even in her secret world, trouble followed her. A storm was coming that would test their love through a financial crisis that changed everything. Before Liz's life became tied to his, Zach was just a young man from Australia. He came from a small town by the ocean where honesty and kindness mattered more than fame. He wasn't chasing attention or cameras. He worked hard and lived simply. People knew him as someone who would always help others. When Liz first met him, she didn't expect much. He wasn't flashy or famous, but his sincerity touched her heart. With Zach, Liz could finally be herself. Their connection began with quiet talks where Zach listened without judging and told her, "I don't care about the show. I care about you." Those words made her feel safe and loved. When Liz's hidden struggles grew heavier, Zach's protective side came out. He wasn't just there to love her, he wanted to bring her peace. To Liz, Zach became more than a partner. He was the man who stood strong when everything else fell apart. Soon, he would make a sacrifice so great it would tie their lives together forever. Most love stories begin in the open, at parties, in restaurants, or online. But Liz and Zach's story began in silence, hidden from the world. With Zach, Liz finally found peace. There were no cameras, no drama, just the two of them. But that peace came at a price. If anyone discovered their secret, it would become gossip, and TLC would turn it into a storyline. So from the beginning, they kept their love in the shadows. They met in quiet cafes, drove at night, and spent weekends together under the excuse of rest. At first, Zach didn't understand the secrecy. But soon, he realized Liz wasn't hiding him out of shame. She was protecting what they had from a world that thrived on drama. Their secret love grew stronger with every quiet laugh, every whispered dream, every stolen moment. To Liz, Zach wasn't just another chapter. He was the story. But even in secrecy, problems waited. Liz carried a burden too heavy to hide, a huge debt that could destroy everything. It wasn't about love, but about survival. It was the kind of thing that keeps you awake at night, wondering how everything fell apart. Liz owed $250,000. It wasn't one mistake. It was many small ones over time. Bad financial decisions, unstable relationships, legal costs. unexpected bills, and the pressure to maintain an image under fame all added up. Being on TV gave her recognition, but not financial safety. It drained her instead. Each month, the debt grew worse. The interest piled up, and the phone calls from creditors never stopped. To her fans, she kept smiling on camera, but off camera, she was terrified. She couldn't tell her family or friends, and definitely not the public. If anyone found out, it would become another scandal. Her biggest fear wasn't just losing money, it was being humiliated. For months, she carried the weight alone, even while growing closer to Zach. Every dinner, every laugh, she pretended everything was fine, though inside she was breaking. One night, she couldn't hide it anymore. Sitting in Zach's car after a quiet evening, her eyes filled with tears, Zach noticed something was wrong and gently asked, "What is it, Liz? Please talk to me." Her voice trembled as she whispered the truth. "I'm in debt, Zach. Not just a little, a lot. $250,000. The words hung in the air. Silence followed. Liz waited for him to walk away, to tell her it was too much. But Zach didn't move. He reached for her hand, held it tight, and said calmly, "I'm here. We'll fix this together." "Then we'll face it together," Zach said. Liz shook her head. "No, you don't understand. It's not your problem. I don't want to drag you into this." That was the moment that changed everything. Zach looked at her, not with fear or pity, but with calm determination that would forever change their love story. "Liz," he said, "I'm not going to let this destroy you. If it takes me the rest of my life, I'll pay it off. Every single dollar." It was more than a promise. It was a declaration. In that moment, Zach wasn't just her boyfriend. He became her shield, a partner willing to carry the unbearable weight Liz had been hiding alone. For Liz, the tears came freely. No one had ever done something like this for her before. No one had ever been willing to risk everything. Not for fame, not for appearance, but for her. That night became the turning point. The night that transformed their hidden romance into something unbreakable. From that moment on, Liz knew this wasn't just a secret relationship. It was destiny. For many couples, promises are easy to make. "I'll always be here for you," or "I'll never let you down." Sweet words, but words that often fade when tested by real life. But Zach's promise to Liz that night wasn't just words. It was a vow filled with conviction, backed by love so strong it felt unreal. When Liz confessed her $250,000 debt, she expected rejection. She thought Zach would tell her it was too much and walk away. Instead, what she received was loyalty, the kind that defines a lifetime. Zach didn't just say he would help. He swore he would take the whole burden himself. "I'll pay it all," he repeated, looking into her tear-streaked face. "I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I have to give up. I want you free. I want you safe." Liz was stunned. She had been in relationships where love was conditional, where men cared more about appearances than her heart. But Zach was different. He wasn't chasing fame or validation. He was offering sacrifice. He was offering a lifeline. At first, Liz resisted. She begged him not to get involved. "This isn't fair to you," she cried. "You don't know how heavy this is. I can't let you destroy your future for my mistakes." But Zach held her hands tightly. "Liz, listen to me," he said softly. "Love isn't about running when things get hard. Love is about standing together when the storm hits. You've carried this weight alone for too long. Now let me carry it with you." That night changed their relationship forever. From then on, Liz didn't just see Zach as her secret partner. She saw him as her protector, her rock, the man who would never leave no matter how dark things became. In the days that followed, Zach began planning how to keep his promise. He talked about working extra hours, taking new jobs, even selling his belongings if he had to. He knew paying off such a huge debt would take time, but he was determined. And for the first time in years, Liz felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. Every time she looked at Zach, she saw not just a man, but a future. A future without constant phone calls from creditors, without sleepless nights haunted by numbers she couldn't repay. A future where love wasn't conditional, but pure and real. That I end those quiet moments, watching Zach plan and reassure her, putting her peace of mind before his own. Liz's love grew deeper than ever. Her heart whispered the truth she could no longer deny. This is the man I want to spend forever with. The world still didn't know their story, but Liz knew Zach's bold promise had sealed their fate. This wasn't just romance. It was destiny. Promises can be powerful, but actions are what give them meaning. After Zach vowed to help Liz with her crushing debt, he didn't treat it as just a late-night promise. He lived it. Day after day, he proved through his choices that his love wasn't conditional. It was steady, strong, and willing to pay any price. Zach began making sacrifices. He worked longer hours, took side jobs, and stopped spending money on himself. Friends noticed he no longer went on trips or bought things he used to enjoy. When they asked why, Zach only smiled and said, "I've got bigger plans." Few understood, but Liz did. Every sacrifice was for her. Every extra hour he worked brought her closer to freedom. Liz watched in awe, her heart full of gratitude and guilt. She had never asked him to give up so much, but he did it willingly. For Zach, love wasn't about comfort. It was about commitment. Sometimes Liz broke down and told him she didn't deserve it. "You shouldn't have to do this for me," she whispered one evening at a quiet restaurant. Zach looked at her gently. "Liz, don't you see? I want to do this because when you hurt, I hurt. And when you're free, we'll both be free." Those words became her anchor. Every time doubt crept in, she remembered that Zach's sacrifice wasn't born from obligation, it was born from love. Their relationship, once built on secrecy, now had a foundation of shared struggle. That struggle made their love stronger than ever. The more Zach gave, the more Liz trusted him. The more he sacrificed, the more she opened her heart. Together, they built a bond few couples ever know. It wasn't just about money. Zach's sacrifices went beyond finances. He gave his time, his energy, his comfort, all to bring Liz peace. On nights when anxiety kept her awake, he stayed with her, holding her hand until she slept. When she doubted her worth, he reminded her of the woman he saw, strong, brave, and beautiful. For years, Liz had hidden behind emotional walls, afraid of showing her broken parts. But with Zach, those walls came down, brick by brick. She shared her fears, regrets, and dreams, and Zach held every piece of her gently. Their love became a story of endurance. Not glamorous or easy, but real. It wasn't the kind of love made for television. It was something deeper. And with every sacrifice Zach made, Liz knew their love was no longer something she wanted to hide. In secret, they weren't just surviving. They were thriving. Every whispered conversation, every stolen kiss, every quiet moment together proved one thing. Sacrifice hadn't weakened their love. It had made it unbreakable. Every couple needs moments of escape, small breaks from the noise of daily life. For Liz and Zach, those escapes became the heartbeat of their secret love story. They often happened in unexpected places, behind the golden doors of luxurious five-star hotel rooms. It wasn't about glamour or showing off. In fact, no one knew. They didn't post pictures, didn't talk about champagne dinners, didn't make it a show. It was never about the luxury itself. It was about being together away from the world, where they could just be themselves, Liz and Zach, two souls who had found each other against all odds. For them, these moments were more than indulgence. They were sanctuary. Inside those hotel suites, the outside world didn't exist. The cameras from TLC, the judgmental comments on social media, the constant calls from creditors, the burden of Liz's debt, and the secrecy they carried. It all disappeared once they closed the door. In those rooms filled with soft lighting and velvet curtains, Liz and Zach could finally breathe. They could laugh without fear of being overheard, hold each other without needing to explain, and dream of a future where their love didn't have to hide. For Liz, who had lived so long under a microscope, these moments were priceless. She didn't have to be the reality TV star. She didn't have to think about her reputation, her storyline, or how she looked under studio lights. She could just be herself, a woman in love. She would sit on the balcony with Zach, watching the city lights shimmer like diamonds and feel ordinary for the first time in years. For Zach, these escapes were about giving Liz the world she deserved. He often planned small surprises, flowers waiting in the room, her favorite wine chilled on the table, music playing softly when she walked in. These weren't grand gestures meant for anyone else to see. They were quiet acts of love meant only for her. One evening stood out. It was raining outside, the city streets glowing with reflected lights. Liz and Zach sat by the window, wrapped in hotel robes, sipping wine. Liz rested her head on his shoulder and whispered, "I wish we could stay like this forever." Zach kissed her forehead and said, "One day we will, and it won't have to be in secret." That promise became their shared dream. These hotel rooms weren't just escapes. They were rehearsals for the life they hoped to build. A life where they could wake up together without fear, eat breakfast without lies, and walk hand in hand without hiding. But morning always came, and with it reality. Liz would slip back into the life everyone expected of her, while Zach faded again into the shadows. Yet, each escape made them stronger. Every stolen moment stitched their hearts closer together. The hotels were more than places of luxury. They were their world between worlds, the bridge between a hidden present and the open future they longed for. Slowly, they began to realize they couldn't live in secret forever. A decision had to be made. For Liz and Zach, secrecy was both a shield and a prison. It protected their love from public scrutiny, but it also forced them to live like shadows, always cautious, always alert, always one mistake away from being discovered. Every day was a balancing act. Liz had to carefully manage her time, her words, even her body language when she was around others. One wrong smile, a text seen by the wrong person, or an unexplained absence could start rumors that spread faster than truth. The hardest part wasn't hiding from fans, it was hiding from the people close to her. Friends would ask, "Are you seeing anyone?" Liz would laugh and shake her head, even though her heart was full of love. Producers at TLC would question her about her dating life, hoping for drama. Liz had to come up with excuses and half-truths to keep Zach out of their reach. For Zach, the secrecy was difficult in a different way. He wasn't used to living a life where every move could become a headline. He didn't grow up under cameras, and sometimes he struggled to understand why Liz had to be so careful. But he loved her enough to adapt. He accepted that their dates had to be private, their photos had to remain hidden, and their relationship couldn't exist online. Still, the strain was real. There were times when Liz just wanted to hold Zach's hand in public, introduce him to her friends, or post a simple picture with the caption, "My love." But every time she thought about it, she imagined the chaos it would bring. Tabloids twisting stories, fans analyzing every detail, and TLC executives demanding she turn her private life into a plotline. So she stayed silent. But secrecy takes its toll. The lies built up like bricks, creating a wall around their love. Sometimes Liz felt trapped by the very thing meant to protect her. At night, lying beside Zach, she would whisper, "I hate this. I hate that we can't just be normal." Zach would kiss her gently and whisper, "One day we won't have to hide anymore. I promise." Despite the challenges, their love survived because it was built on trust. Liz knew Zach would never betray her. Zach knew Liz wasn't ashamed of him. She was protecting them both. But as time passed, they both began to feel the same truth pressing on them. They couldn't live like this forever. The world of secrets was safe, but it was also lonely. Sooner or later, they would have to choose, stay hidden or step into the light. That choice became clearer as their whispered dreams turned into real plans. Marriage, a future together, a life far from the cameras. In their quiet late-night conversations, when the world outside was silent, their destiny began to take shape. Every love story reaches a point where dreams turn into decisions. For Liz and Zach, that moment came quietly, without drama, in soft conversations late at night. It often started with a simple question. Liz would ask, "What do you think our life could look like if it were just us?" Zach would smile and answer, "It would look like peace." Peace, that was the word Liz longed for. After years of public battles, breakups, and emotional chaos on television, she was tired. Tired of being a storyline. Tired of being judged. Tired of wondering if people cared about Liz the woman or Liz the TV character. With Zach, she found courage to imagine something better. They began talking seriously about marriage, about leaving the shadows behind. Not by exposing their relationship to the world, but by no longer hiding from themselves. Zach often described life in Australia, the small coastal towns, the slower pace, the way people valued privacy. He painted pictures of waking up in a house near the ocean, walking along the beach at sunset, and building a quiet life together without cameras or scripts. For Liz, it sounded like freedom. The idea of moving across the world scared her, but it also excited her. It would mean leaving behind everything she knew, her country, her career, even the show that made her name known. But it would also mean leaving behind the scrutiny, the gossip, and the pain. One evening, as they sat curled up together in a dimly lit hotel room, Zach spoke the words that brought everything into focus. Liz, he said softly, we've hidden long enough. We survived the storms. We've proven we're stronger together. So why not build something permanent? Let's get married,